When someone gets sick, hello y'all, I'm Diana Brienne. When someone gets sick, I did a video a while back called The House of Sickness, maybe about 2 years ago. And it talked about how life can change on a person, people, families, jobs, almost in any way when sickness comes. We're not talking about a very brief sickness like a cold or a flu. We're talking about something that is more long lasting. Either someone has to get through it to get well, or maybe they don't get well from it. You know, life can be unpredictable. You know, people can be going along one day perfectly fine, and then suddenly, something can happen and they can get a diagnosis, an unexpected one, or maybe even an anticipated one. Maybe they did see it coming. And during that time, it's usually shocking. Even if they expected it, it's still hearing the words of a diagnosis of any kind is shocking. And often people want to deny it. Or sometimes they don't get a diagnosis. Sometimes they're kind of wandering around, so to speak, from doctor to doctor to try to get a diagnosis, to try to get what is the cause of their problems, and trying to then find the answers. And sometimes that can be very challenging and difficult to navigate, knowing who to go to, what the problem is, and what the solution is, and keeping the faith. Either way, when sickness comes, it can disrupt a person's daily life, and it can disrupt a family's life. It can change everything. It can change the dynamics. It can be a whole new normal as they journey, or as the person journeys this journey called sickness. Most people don't want to talk about sickness. It's not something that we happily talk about. And yet, if one lives long enough in life, likely they're going to see some sickness somewhere along the line, whether it's in their own selves or it's in others. And so it's important to know and understand how to deal with sickness, okay? It's important to know that. And some people just try to avoid talking about it. Some people don't want to talk about it. Some people, when they're sick, they don't want to be around anybody. And some people only want limited contact with other people. And some people want a lot of people. They want people to, comfort them and be around them. I think, first of all, it's important to surround oneself with the right professional minds that can help them navigate and hopefully solve the sickness and make them well again. And it's important to also surround oneself with comforting people. Now, those people may be different than each other. The professionals and the comforting people may be two totally different people. The people who are comforting may not have the answer or the solution. Maybe even the professionals don't. So there are varying degrees of professionals, and it's important to get the right professionals anytime that there is a sickness. And it's important that we choose the right people to comfort us, who know what to say and what not to say. And so sickness can be a very difficult journey for people. And, there's varying levels of sickness and varying outcomes for sickness. The most important thing is to be good to yourself if you're the one that's sick, and to be comforting to others if they are sick. And sometimes you just got to go lay down and rest and from your normal routines, what you normally did. Other times, if you're feeling better, you can get back out there again and do many of the things or all of the things that you did before. And yet it's likely going to be a new normal. When I did the video called The House of Sickness, I talked about a friend whose husband was dying at the time. And I remember going over it, and it was as if the whole house had changed. the dynamics of the house, the way the house looked, even the way the house smelled. And everything was set up and built around that sickness. And often people just want to avoid thinking about it or being around people like that or whatever. But that's a time people need people. At least letting them know that you're there somewhere in the background if they want you to come or comfort them in some way. Sometimes we can't comfort them. Sometimes all we can do is be there. Sometimes we're not an answer to someone's problem, but we can be comforting. We can let them know that we care. Any which way, sickness can be a very challenging and a very difficult thing to navigate. But it is navigatable, I guess is the right word. We just have to discover what works best for the person who's sick. Remember, it's about the person who's sick, but it's also about the people that are part of their life that it affects. Because sickness often affects more than just the person who's sick. It can affect the person who provides the income for the family, which can affect the whole family. It can affect the finances. It can affect their life. And it can affect the fun times, traveling and going here and going there and doing this and doing that. All of a sudden, it seems like everything just stood still or is standing still. I think during sickness, it's important to understand these things and to know what's right for you or right for them and right for all the people involved. It's important to find that comfort, whether it's a good TV show that you can watch that distracts you, whether it's music, whatever positive thing that can help you get through that. Be patient with the person sick, whether it's yourself or someone else. Be patient, be kind, be thoughtful, be understanding. I think also for the person who's sick, they don't want to wear the people around them out. So sometimes having a person who is a great sounding board can be a good thing. Maybe somebody who doesn't mind listening to endless conversations about the sickness. Whereas other people may just need to know the specifics of what they need to do, but they don't want to hear all the details. And so we need to respect that in other people. Some people just get worn out, especially caregivers. They can get worn out. And sometimes they have to step back and recharge so that they can go back in and continue their caregiving. Any which way, sickness can be a very challenging and very difficult journey, but still, it can be a very navigatable one, and hopefully the road to wellness. From my house to yours, I hope to talk to y'all soon again. Bye-bye.